Hello friends, it's Tom Day, and today I wanted to talk to you guys about the speed farming build for Barbarians. This build uses the 6-piece Immortal King set, along with the 4-piece Raekor set. And we'll talk a bit more about that in just a second here. So let's jump right into the skills. First up we have Ancient Spear Boulder Toss. This is mostly to get rid of the enormous amount of wrath that we're going to have built up, and with the 4 set piece from Immortal Kings, every 10 wrath we get rid of reduces the cooldown of every 10 fury we get rid of removes 3 seconds off of the cooldown of Wrath of the Beserker and Call of the Ancients. And Wrath of the Beserker is super important for us because it does a ridiculous amount of damage along with Call of the Ancients. Next up we have Furious Charge, Merciless Assault. It doesn't matter which rune you pick as long as it's a physical damage rune. Because we're using the 4-piece of Raekors, we get every single rune, but you want the damage to be physical because we're going to buff physical skill damage through the rest of our items. Next we have Sprint Marathon. Going fast is important because we're going to be using an item in the cube called Standoff, which gives us more damage based on our movement speed. So you'll see that we'll use a lot of movement speed enhancing skills and items. So Sprint Marathon. Next up we have Battle Rage Ferocity. We're using Ferocity again because of movement speed. We have Called the Ancients together as one. A little bit of damage reduction, then Wrath of the Beserker Insanity just for straight up damage. For the passive skills, you're going to use Pound of Flesh. Again, this increases movement speed. We're going to use Ruthless. If you don't want to use Ruthless, you could use Brawler instead. And then Beserker Rage and Rampage. And for items in the helm slot, now this could be interchanged. I want to say this up front, that the specific items in the slots are not super important as long as you have 5 pieces of Immortal Kings and 3 pieces of Raekors. And I'm just going to go over the general stats, and you can use whichever one of those sets that you have better stats in. So you might have a better Immortal King's helm than you have a Raekor's or vice versa. So that's totally okay as long as you have 5 pieces of Immortal Kings and 3 pieces of Raekors. They're interchangeable. So for the helm, you want Strength, Vitality, Crit Chance, and a socket. For shoulders, you're going to want, they're not that great. You want charge damage, area damage, strength, and probably vitality over resistances. Just a few. For the armor, you want strength, vitality, and furious charge damage, and obviously 3 sockets. For the amulet, physical skill damage, crit chance, socket, and probably crit damage would be better. If you end up getting a high rolled main stat, that's fine. But most of the time, amulets, it's best to have the physical or whatever kind of spell damage you want. In this case, physical, crit chance, crit damage, and a socket. For bracers, we're using the Warzichian arm guards. I probably butchered that, I apologize. I'm using this more as a joke than anything else, because every time you destroy a replicable object, you gain a burst of speed. You don't need to use this, but it sure is fun, and you end up going ridiculously fast. And again, speed does mean more damage, though they're not bad. It's not a bad choice. You could use Nemesis bracers or something if you wanted to. Anyway, you want physical skill damage, strength, vitality, and critical hit damage. Critical hit chance. And then, so, some of these builds use focus and restraint, but I enjoy using Avarice Band and Stone of Jordan. So, we're using Avarice Band here. And the reason Avarice Band is fun is because you end up picking up so much gold, and you get a whole screen full of gold that you're picking up. It's seriously a blast. Anyways, I have main stat, critical damage, and cooldown. I found that I needed a little bit more cooldown reduction, so I just went ahead and picked that up. You could do, crit damage instead. Always a socket. So you can see I found this Stone of Jordan on my Crusader because it has maximum wrath, but that's okay. The main thing is to have a socket, the physical skill, main stat, and damage against elite. I don't think it can roll without main stat, so you might be able to, if you end up finding one that looks like this, without having anything rerolled, you could reroll main stat into crit chance or crit damage or whatever. For the belt, strength, vitality, all resist. You can get life for a fury spent, because you're going to end up dropping, a huge ton of fury whenever you use Ancient Boulder. So that's kind of like having a little mini health pot that you can use all the time. It's pretty great. For gloves, you want strength, vitality, crit chance, crit damage. For pants, strength, vitality, all resist, 2 sockets. For boots, strength, vitality, probably all resist, move speed, armor, life regen, ancient spear damage. You don't really do that much damage with ancient spear, so it's not that helpful. But just whatever you want there. And for the weapon, this is required. You do need to have the Immortal King weapon. Mine has strength, vitality, and Call the Ancients damage. Now, this is not particularly good. You want an ancient one, obviously. You could drop vitality for % damage. And I did not use a Ramaldani's gift on this, so obviously you do not want to. If you have a good weapon and you have an ancient weapon, go ahead and drop a Ramaldani's. Or if you have extra Ramaldani's, I would absolutely say use it. and then just throw an emerald in there. In the cube, we're using a standoff, gold wrap, and ring of royal grandeur. Now, the reason we're using gold wrap, you could use nemesis bracers here, but I found myself dying pretty easily, actually, even on D10. I would charge into stuff and just die sometimes. They had fire chains if I wasn't paying attention. So I enjoyed gold wrap a lot. It makes you more or less invincible after you kill 5 things, because we're using Boon of the Hoarder, which causes a ton of gold to drop. So with gold wrap and Boon of the Hoarder, you end up becoming invincible. And I mean literally invincible. I had 50 billion toughness at one point. It's quite fun. And Royal Ring of Grandeur is obviously there to complete the other sets. And again, standoff for all of the movement speed buffs we have. It makes us do a lot more damage. For gems, you're going to want a diamond in your helm for cooldown reduction. Then I put strength gems in all of my my armor and my pants for more damage. You could use diamonds if you're feeling a little squishy. For legendary gems, I'm using Boon of the Hoarder, along with Bane of the Trapped and Wreath of Lightning. Wreath of the Lightning and Boon of the Hoarder do 2 things. They make you move faster, which then means more charge damage, which is a good thing, friends. And Paragon, you want movement speed, so whatever, if you have movement speed on your boost, just make sure you have max movement speed in Paragon. You want to actually fill out the Fury, get max Fury, and then just dump everything else into main staff. For the offensive tab, you want critical hit chance, critical hit damage, cooldown reduction. Attack speed doesn't actually help that much. Defense, you can go with all resists, life percent, armor, life regen, and then the final tab, area effect or area damage is really the only thing that helps the most. The other 3 things, just get them out of your feature. And that more or less sums up the build. It's quite a lot of fun to play. I was doing T10 riffs. I got a really good one and did it in about 2 minutes and 40 seconds one time, but usually it's closer to like 3 or 4 minutes depending on how lucky you're getting. So I didn't really talk about this earlier. I just kind of want to give an overview of what you're doing when you charge into stuff. So before you charge in, you want to have Wrath of the Beserker and Call of the Ancients up and battle. You probably don't have the Wrath to cast Battle Rage yet, but right as you charge into him, you cast Battle Rage. And then once you have a full Wrath bar, or a full Fury globe orb thingy, once you have full Fury, you drop Boulder Toss, and you might have to do that twice to reset the cooldown of Wrath of Beserker. And then you don't use Ancient Spear anymore. You just stay at full Fury and keep charging into stuff. And then when you need to, pop Wrath of Beserker, and then dump your Fury 2 times or so to reset the cooldown again. That's more or less what it is. And just enjoy it. It's pretty satisfying to watch your gold just accumulate, and you're getting just ridiculous gold. Then you look at your armor, and you're like, oh crap, I got 30 billion toughness. It's lots of fun. And so yeah, guys, that's the speed build for Barbarians. I hope you enjoyed the video, and I'll see you guys next weekend for another Diablo 3 build guide. Have a good one.